how do you take the drawing package and actually build the plant. So this is very important to have, and not everybody have the privilege in their career to start from designing. And yeah, for me, I thank God I had a chance to be able to get involved in designing and still continue to do design. Okay, another skill you want to think about as engineer is to look at softwares and simulation proficiency. Every designing is largely influenced by the studies that we do. So they are really interdependent. So if you think about designing something, let's say you are thinking about selecting a particular cable size, usually you have to study this based on where the cable will be installed. If the cable is going to be installed under the underground, what is the soil moisture of the ground? What will be the soil temperature there? What will be the thermal resistivity of the soil? How easy does the soil allow heat to dissipate? So all of this has to be done in a software because it's really difficult to think about it to solve with hand calculations. So we industry have built like softwares that are very good, very advanced, and can do almost all scenarios. Even if the cable is going to go under the sea, we can actually study that and simulate that to know the condition of the cable to select or the cable to buy. So you don't just go to the market and buy cable, because this type of engineering is far from doing a house wiring, right? So think about softwares. You don't have to know everything, but think about at least starting from one of them. We have like ETA, PSSE, SIME, WinIGS, PSCAD, NetPlan, SKM, MATLAB, PVSys, Power Factory, Dixie Silent. Actually, it's the same thing, Power Factory and Dixie Silent, same. So, and then we have Aspen, Wineline. There are a lot of softwares, but try to be on top of this. And then if you can see my screen also, I have one example that is actually showing you a simple illustration that I perform. So you can see you have several buses here, right? And then you can see you have a generator, 2 generators, and then there's 1 solar power plant here. And then I try to look at when there's a problem, a disturbance, right? An electrical disturbance or a fault around the solar plant, what will happen? So you would immediately see that when there's a fault on the bus closest to the PV plant, the voltage there will depress, right? So when the voltage depresses to 0, it means that power cannot flow. Without voltage, no flow. Just like pressure, without pressure in the tap, the water doesn't flow. So voltage drops to 0, and then you can see the next bus closer to the solar PV plant drops to like 87.1%. But traditionally, most utilities or grid operators would want to keep the voltage at a particular range. You cannot go below a particular range. So it depends on a lot of factors. But one example I can give you is that, for instance, let's say you are in US, in Texas area, maybe ERCOT, which is the ERCOT is the one that regulates the energy market in Texas, right? So they would say, okay, if there's a problem, within 10 seconds, we want the voltage to reach 90% of the rated voltage. So 90% within 10 seconds. So if there's a fault, within 10 seconds, the voltage has to rise up to 90% or 0.9 per unit. And then that is how we understand it. So you need to understand simulation and how to actually analyze this. This is a very important skill to have. And in the industry now, getting power system engineers is very difficult. So try to learn how to use softwares, like I mentioned, and then how to do the analysis. Power system analysis engineers are tough to get. So if you are good in that, you will make a lot of money. But the money is not the main goal, right? Okay, the next is to diversify your skills or your knowledge. It's not all about engineering. Even you realize that if you work in big companies, it's not all about engineering. We have different departments. Some people are into law. We have the lawyers. We have the financial people. We have the power marketing people who understand the market. And you have to also know that electricity is not sold at the same cost throughout the day. So you have 24 hours in a day, but based on the period, based on the demand, the electricity cost can vary. So during peak hours time, you have to pay more. And then during the morning or night time, when people are sleeping and the demand is less, you pay less. So that is how it is. And then you need to understand that power marketing. So having knowledge about different areas, about how power marketing is working, how energy is actually financed. If you see a power plant that is millions of dollars or maybe billions of dollars, that money doesn't come easy. It's actually financed. And how does that project get financed? So, and even before you get it into the for it to be financed, it has to be developed in a particular way before it gets to that level. So that's a just overview. So also sustainability principles, the life cycles of electrical equipment or products and their impact on the environment. The next skill that you would want to focus on is emerging technical skills, right? Think about the power grid. How the grid works is 24/7, no stop. People use electricity 24/7, no stop. So what it means is that the power plants also work no stop. And this, you will really appreciate it if you have the opportunity in your career to work in a power plant. I had the chance to work in a power plant for about 4 years, and I have seen how it is, how we start the plant, connect it to the grid, and then how it works. It's very interesting, very, very interesting to see how things work. And you realize that the power frequency in your home is the same as the power frequency at the power plant. So what it means is that in Ghana, for instance, or many parts of the country, world use 50 hertz. The frequency at the power plant is 50 hertz. The frequency in your house is also 50 hertz, which means that the power grid is the biggest or the complex machine ever made. This is a popular say. The power grid is the biggest or the most complex machine ever made, because everybody connected in their homes, it goes through like that, through the distribution lines or the distribution network, and then the distribution network is connected to the transmission grid, and then the transmission grid is connected to the power plant. So everything is connected together. When you lose a large load, what happens is that you have a bigger load drop, and then the frequency goes up because the machines begin to run very fast. So at any particular time, the grid is a data mine. It's recording data at any particular time. With the influence or the growth of AI and machine learning, how can we use this data? Because think about it, machine learning or AI, artificial intelligence is about data, right? Taking the data and making meaning from the data, and then using the data in a particular way to achieve your results. So how can we use this data to actually plan for grid integration and stability, and then fault detection, and then even energy trading in regional or nations, and then in different markets? If you know, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, and some other countries are interconnected. So this is interconnection. We are connected through the West African power pool. So when there's a problem in some particular grid, it will affect. So how do we get this? And then even how we sell electricity to Burkina or other countries. How do we use AI and machine learning to influence these decisions, right? Okay. The next one is also to look at skills in project management or even soft skills. Most people, I always say that they underestimate this important skill. And with the growth of AI now, it will get to a time, the skill that we used to do, machines can do it, because that's the AI is just to get a data. how human beings behave, how we do things, and then you are trying to model that kind of behavior, and then allow machines to actually take decisions. And computers can take decisions or run tasks faster than human beings can do, right? You can give a software maybe 1,000 pages to summarize for you, but human being, how long do you need to